Welcome to the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast, a show all about reviewing dinosaurs on a scale of 1 to 10 fossils before only the elite terrible lizards make it into the prehistoric cage match. This program is presented by the Stomp Company and can be heard within all the rock layers across the planet. Grab your dinosaurs and your official scorecard because it's now time to dig for dinosaurs. Here's your Mesozoic host, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Dinosaur Review, all my junior paleontologists. This is your Santa Claus-like host, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony. And today, we're taking the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast up to the North Pole to visit none other than Santa Claus's workshop. But this isn't Santa Claus, it's Santa Claus. Just like we know dinosaurs had all kinds of claws. Just like this Spinosaurus Egypticus claw I have here in my science lab studios. Now the toys have been made and the sleigh has been prepared, and as you guessed it, the dinosaurs are ready to roar on Christmas Eve night. Now today's genus and species may have even dashed through the snow near the home of St. Nicholas or Kris Kringle. Now did you guys all know that some dinosaurs actually lived in the cold weather up near the North Pole? It's true. We find dinosaur fossils as far north as Canada and even Alaska. I can only imagine what it would have been like for these not so terrible but friendly lizards. Now I'm just so excited to see inside of Santa Claus's workshop for today's podcast. I'm recording this week's episode on Sunday, December 18th, and we're just 1 week away from the Christmas holiday. Can you guys believe how fast December has flown by? It's gone by quicker than Nanuqsaurus, the red-beaked pterosaur from last week's podcast episode. But before we make our way up to Santa Claus's workshop for today's merry review, let's go ahead and update you guys on some dinopreneur news. Now, do you guys need some last-minute dinosaur presents for those special junior paleontologists? Then parents, listen up. Now, sadly, the the shipping cutoff has passed, and we don't have enough time to ship our physical gifts, but we do have some awesome virtual holiday gifts available from the Stomp Company. Now, I've got 2 items left inside of Santa Claus's bag, and the first one is you can book a private virtual lesson for your kiddo with me, Dinosaur Ranger Anthony. You can select from over a dozen different topics or even create your own custom lesson, and I'll teach your kiddos all about their favorite dinosaur genus. So far I've booked 4 private virtual lessons for the holidays, and I cannot wait to educate and entertain all of those learners. Now second, you can become a junior dinosaur ranger as part of my VIP, or my very important paleontologist, Patreon Club. You can choose from 3 exciting tiers and let your kids have all kinds of virtual lessons with me each month. They get the 2 virtual lessons, they get the donuts and dinosaurs, they get all kinds of behind the scenes content from me and the Stomp Company, and so much more. The first tier only starts at as low as only $5 a month. Now to learn more about these 2 virtual gifts, you guys can go to my website at stompchomproar.com, or you can go to patreon.com/stompchomproar. Now let's give out a few shout outs before we start our merry review for today. The first one goes out to Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, all the elves, the reindeer, and so many others up there in the North Pole. Thank you all for making us have another wonderful holiday season. It's been a totally great one so far, and I can't wait for this coming Christmas weekend. It's going to be so magical. Now also a second shout out, you guys. This one's very, very special, and it goes out to You, all my listeners, you guys are totally awesome, and I cannot thank each and every one of you for listening each and every week. Currently, I have over 15,000. That's right, 15,000 downloads, and each Wednesday and Thursday, I get a nice little spike of about another 150 downloads, so I can see how many listeners I have about each week when I upload my next episode. So thank you guys all so much for being amazing listeners. You guys truly rock. Not coal, you rock like a fossil. We gotta stay away from that coal in our stocking. Now you guys, let's go ahead and head inside Santa Claus's workshop for today's review. This week's genus is totally awesome, totally magical. Go ahead and grab your claws and let's go ahead and head inside for another dinosaur review. Ho, ho, ho! Here we are, we've made it inside of Santa Claus's workshop for today's dinosaur review. And today's genus is no one other than the Nanuqsaurus. The Nanuqsaurus, and this name meaning is the polar bear lizard. Just like we find polar bear up there in the northern region of the earth, of the globe, up there in the Arctic. So the Nanuqsaurus, you guys, is the dinosaur for today. And I even have a custom toy that I made down here in the Science Lab studio. I bought a dinosaur toy, I gave it a custom paint job to make it look like it lived up there towards the North Pole. It's all white, kind of looks like a polar bear with all kinds of little blue and black little feathery quills on it. And it's totally awesome. I love this one so much. It's my polar bear lizard. I made it myself just like Santa Claus makes all those awesome dinosaur toys for all of us. But let's go ahead and jump into our review today. It is the Nanuqsaurus, the polar bear lizard. Now, what type of dinosaur is this? The Nanuqsaurus. It's a Saurischian. Those are the lizard hip dinosaurs. And then it falls into that theropod family. Those are the bipedal carnivores. They're walking on two legs. They're eating all kinds of meat. They're carnivores. They don't like to eat cookies and drink milk. Now, they also fall into the tyrannosaurid family. So our Nanuqsaurus is related to the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex. Now, how big was this dinosaur? Its length, its height, its weight. The Nanuqsaurus is coming in about 20 feet long, or 6 meters, up to 6 to 8 feet high, or 2 to 2.4 meters, and it weighs a lot more than Santa Claus. Our Nanuqsaurus is weighing up to 2,000 pounds. So put in perspective, our Nanuqsaurus is about the size, half the size of the Tyrannosaurus rex. So if you think about a T-Rex, think about half the T-Rex. A T-Rex is 40 feet in length, or a Nanuqsaurus is up to 20 feet in length. And then it gets up to 6 to 8 feet tall, and then 2,000 pounds. Now, even though it's half the size of the T-Rex, it's probably still the apex predator up there in the Arctic region. And you guys, they have a limited amount of prey, so they're not able to find as much food. So maybe that's why this species of theropod, or a genus of tyrannosaurid, is a lot smaller, half the size of the king of the family, the T-Rex. Now, how fast was this dinosaur? Is it going faster than Santa Claus's sleigh? Our Nanuqsaurus is clocking in at about 25 miles per hour, running on that bipedal stance on two legs, and it's very similar to the Gorgosaurus and the Albertosaurus. Those are two other genuses that fall into those Tyrannosaurid family, and when they first found our Nanuqsaurus, they possibly thought that it might have only been a Gorgosaurus and Albertosaurus, but they realized that it is actually a very own new genus, and the Nanuqsaurus was born. And it's also a lot slower than Santa Claus's sleigh. Now, what weapons or defense, other characteristics did our Nanuqsaurus have, our polar bear lizard? Now, just picture again, picture a T-Rex, but half the size. So our Nanuqsaurus only up to 20 feet long and 8 feet high. Now, it's very similar to our T-Rex, but also has a smaller skull. Our Nanuqsaurus has only a 28-inch skull, just over a 2-foot skull. Now, they still have those very sharp teeth, somewhat curved like in a banana, kind of like we see on our T-Rex. So they got sharp teeth to be able to catch all kinds of herbivores, some of their prey up there in the Arctic. Now, if you think about the Nanuqsaurus hunting, they've got to have have great senses. Their smell, their eyesight, maybe even their hearing. So those senses are going to help them hunt for all kinds of prey up there in the darkness. Because during the winter months up there in the Arctic, you can get 23 to maybe even 24 hours of complete darkness. So our Nanuqsaurus is going to have to use its senses to really be able to hunt. They're going to use their larger nasal cavity to be able to smell for all kinds of food. Maybe their bigger orbits or their eyes to be able to see in the darkness for food. Or maybe even hearing to be able to listen for all kinds of creatures living out there in the snowy climates up there in the Arctic. So their senses are going to be a lot more developed, a lot better to be able to hunt for all kinds of prey. Now this one is probably somewhat insulated, and maybe feathers. Feathers could have covered their body. Maybe even white feathers, you guys, and look somewhat of like a polar bear. Kind of a nice white look up there in the Arctic. Now for feathers, you guys, we don't see a lot of those crazy colors. Greens, hot pinks, blues. For dinosaurs, paleontologists have found some pigments on feathers of some theropods, and we see more whites, blacks, browns, grays from our dinosaur friends. So hopefully our Nanuqsaurus somewhat maybe in some white feathers. They're helping them blend in a little bit up there towards those Arctic climates. Now you guys, those feathers are going to help insulate them, and maybe even possibly they had some quills, just like we see on some other theropod dinosaurs. Now our arms of our Nanuqsaurus are short, just like our Tyrannosaurus Rex. They have those short arms, those two-fingered claws, and that's why this one is Santa Claus for today's podcast episode. They have those two-fingered claws on them, and that's helping them hold the bag full of all kinds of toys from Santa Claus. Now our Nanuqsaurus has very powerful back legs, and that's helping them hunt for all kinds of food. A long tail behind them, helping them with stability, maybe a little bit of agility as they're hunting for all kinds of prey. Now did this theropod type dinosaur hunt in packs? We see a lot of theropods hunting in packs, and that's making them easier for them to find all kinds of prey. But if you guys can think about it, our Nanuqsaurus is hunting up there in the northern climate, up there in the northern hemisphere. There's going to be less prey to hunt. Now if you're in with all of your friends hunting in your pack, and you find a creature and they kill the creature, you guys, they're gonna have to all share the food. And if the food is already sparse up there, then our Nanuqsaurus isn't gonna want to share the food with all of its friends. So more than likely, they're probably hunting on their own, so that when they find their prey, they're gonna be able to keep themselves fed and get a full belly, just like Santa Claus gets a full belly of all kinds of cookies and milk on Christmas Eve night. Now you guys, our dinosaurs that are living up there in those colder climates, are they cold-blooded? Are they warm-blooded? Are they dinosaur-blooded? If you guys think about it, we don't find any lizards, iguanas, turtles, crocodiles, alligators. We don't find those type of cold-blooded creatures up there in the northern hemisphere, and it's because it's just too cold. Those creatures wouldn't be able to survive. But since we find dinosaur fossils up there in Canada, Alaska, Siberia, in the frozen tundra, we know that the dinosaurs must have been able to survive in these frigid temperatures. So dinosaurs can't be cold-blooded animals like we thought they used to be. They probably were more closely related to birds, as we know, more warm-blooded animals, or maybe even somewhat of a dinosaur-blooded. Now, when did this dinosaur live, and how long did this species, this genus, live during the Mesozoic era? Our Nanuqsaurus is coming in about 70 to 65 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period, and it was found in the northern slope of Alaska up there in the Prince Creek Formation. Now this dinosaur fossil was found back in 2006, named in 2014 by Anthony Fiorillo and Ronald Tykowski, are the paleontologists that found and named our Nanuqsaurus. And you guys, they don't find hardly any of the fossil specimen. All they find is some partial skull fossils and some teeth elements. That's right, they find hardly anything. But from the few pieces that they found, specifically of the lower jaw, they're able to determine that it's more different than the Gorgosaurus or the Albertosaurus. They know it's its own genus, which they named the Nanuqsaurus, and they know estimate-wise about how big this creature was by looking at that lower jaw, some of those partial skull fragments, the teeth elements. They're able to determine how big this dinosaur might have been able to reach, up to those 20 feet in length, 6 to 8 feet high. Very amazing how scientists, paleontologists can estimate the size by just a few pieces. Now, you guys, are we going to put our Nanuqsaurus right here on the nice list, or is it going to the naughty list? Remember, we've got a score, a fossil score for this dinosaur. 10 fossils for some of the best dinosaurs. Those ones make it on the nice list, and 1 fossil for some of those naughty dinosaurs down there. So what are we going to rate our Nanuqsaurus for Christmas Eve night as Santa Claus comes all throughout the town, leaving gifts and toys for all the good girls and boys? Well, everybody, our Nanuqsaurus deserves a great 8.2. 8.2 for our Nanuqsaurus. Our polar bear lizard is going to make it onto the nice list for Santa Claus to come to town. An 8.2 for the Nanuqsaurus. Wow, how magical was that review? Did everyone enjoy their time inside of Santa Claus's workshop? The Nanuqsaurus is a theropod like nothing else we've reviewed before, and I sure hope this polar bear lizard will always be good enough to be on Santa Claus's nice list. It would just be a shame if it got nothing but coal inside of its Christmas stocking. But hey, you guys, what do you guys think is Santa Claus's favorite dinosaur? Is it the Nanuqsaurus? Or maybe it's the Edmontosaurus, a duck-billed dinosaur? Or maybe the Troodon, one of the smartest dinosaurs? Or maybe even the Pachyrhinoceros with that nasal boss? That's one of my favorite ceratopsians. Those are 3 other dinosaur genus that lived up towards the North Pole next to Santa Claus's workshop. Now, you guys, along with setting out all your cookies for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, I wanted to share another project for all my junior paleontologists. Now, if you can, have your parents search for the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast on Facebook, and this will take you to my Facebook group that I created for our dinosaur podcast. Now, go ahead and join our group and post a picture of you listening to the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast, or even a picture with you and all your new dinosaur toys that you got for Christmas. I'd love for us to build an awesome community of all of our listeners on Facebook. Again, just search for the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast on Facebook and join our awesome podcast group. Now, you guys, before we go, we've got to do our awesome joke just in time for the holiday weekend. Which dinosaur loves Santa Claus and Christmas the best? What is it? What dinosaur loves Santa Claus and Christmas the best? Which dinosaur is it? Do you know? How about the Tree Rex? Do you get it? It's not the T-Rex, it's the Tree Rex, just like all the Christmas trees that are decorated for the holiday season. Now, that's it for today, everyone. Who else wants to take a ride on Santa Claus's sleigh on the way back home? Wouldn't that just be the coolest thing ever? No, really, it actually would be really cold. But nonetheless, everyone, I hope you all have a magical holiday weekend. I cannot wait to return to the microphone again in 2023. So everybody, have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, or any holiday that you might celebrate during this magical time of year. I need to go finish wrapping all my kids' gifts for the holiday season for Christmas this weekend. Now, did everyone see my Christmas sweater? It's green and it has the Jurassic Park logo on it. But instead of saying Jurassic Park, it says Santa Claus. Now, you guys, I think I've washed my Christmas sweater already 10 times since December began. And I've gotten so many amazing comments about it. It's just so magical. But you guys remember, my name is Dinosaur Ranger Anthony, your Santa Claus-like host for today's podcast. And as always, keep digging for dinosaurs. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.